What's up, everyone? Welcome to Akuma's Arsenal, and today we will be discussing the history of Tissot. So, Tissot is a company that I was recently introduced to. My friend gave me a vintage wristwatch of theirs, and didn't give me. He lent me it to review, but I can't find any information on it. And the bureau you're seeing now is the watch. It's a very, very lovely watch. It's great design, very minimal. I love the bidirectional bezel, manual wind, fairly accurate. It's a great vintage watch. But while doing the research for the video for that watch, I stumbled across, articles about Tissot. I looked into their history a bit more, and I decided that with this bureau in the background, and along with other photos from the actual Tissot website, I'm going to do, once again, a history of Tissot, and let's get started. Tissot was started in 1853 by Charles Félicien Tissot and his son, Charles Émile. It was called Charles Félicien Tissot and Son Assembly Shop, and it's located in Lillecourt, Switzerland. During this time period, the beginning early stages of Tissot, they basically got down into mass producing pocket watches. They had a few achievements and some firsts in their time also. Tissot sold watches. Tissot was what is it called? Exporter of wristwatches. So what they did was they sold watches in the U.S., all across Europe. But most importantly, their most important market in their early years was the Russian Empire. They were sold in the Russian Empire until about 1917. No, not even until about 1917. Until 1917, when the October Revolution happened. During the October Revolution, most European countries banned sales of things in the Russian Empire. I guess it wasn't really called the Russian Empire after. Was it? I'm not exactly for sure, but basically the political situation in Russia, most countries had a ban going where you can't sell anything in Russia. So that did hurt Tissot's company a bit. In 1907, they built a factory in Chemin de Tours. Well, sorry, my Swiss pronunciation sucks. And once again in Lillecourt. The Tissot HQ is actually still located there, and it's interesting. The building that's there today is pretty much in the exact same spot as the building that they built and used in 1907. Some achievements, once again, I'll mention them again. They made the very, very first anti-magnetic watch in the world. I'll make sure to put a picture up. It's called the anti-magnetic, uncreatively called that. Very, very lovely wristwatch. Another wristwatch that they came out with that's iconic from this time period is the Tissot Banana. If you're looking at these wristwatches, just understand that Cartier is not the only company that used to make square watches in the Art Deco style. Many other companies, just like Tissot, also did that too. But yeah, the 1907 was good. Then you had World War One. Tissot actually, I think, was selling wristwatches to men before World War One, but World War One happens, and then there's the 20s, and Tissot's doing pretty well. And then in 1929, the Great Depression starts. It starts getting exported to other countries. Then it gets hit. Europe, it gets hit pretty badly, and Tissot and Omega merged together to create the SIHH, which is some crazy Swiss name that I can't pronounce, but it's basically the beginning foundation of the Swatch Group. So Tissot and Omega, one of the very, very, very first companies in the Swatch Group. Interesting, right? In this time period, they're selling watches to women. I just found this thing kind of interesting. This was their advertising towards young people. It was a young woman and 3 watches. They wanted to, sell watches to women. They wanted to buy multiple watches, and I think that's just I found that very, very, very funny. Imagine a watch company now saying a young man and 3 watches, because I think that would be hilarious. And maybe, I don't know, it just kind of got me thinking about modern day wristwatch advertising and back in the day, and just think about that. A young woman and 3 watches. It's very simple, kind of makes the woman seem a bit more elegant. it does make you feel a certain way. And the emphasis is on the consumer. It's like what the consumer will feel like. And I feel like wristwatch manufacturing now, yeah, it's definitely still focused on the consumer, but I think brands mostly just rely on their own names. I feel like they could be a bit more creative in their advertising, but that's a discussion for another day. So the 40s run around. Actually, they launched this beautiful looking chronograph. I think it's the first chronograph that Tissot ever made. I'll put a picture up if I remember. Very, very lovely chronograph. Tissot has a wide range of really, really, really beautiful chronographs. The Valjoux 7733. Sorry, don't kill me. I've talked about this a lot in my latest live streams. I'm definitely looking at getting a Valjoux 7730 chronograph, and Tissot makes a bunch. But we'll talk more about the standardization of Tissot movements later. Maybe picking up a 40s Tissot chronograph, and I don't know, just get my mind going, right? Maybe look at some of those earlier 40s chronographs, especially ones from World War II. I think TGV posted one in the UGWC, and they're really quite interesting. I think I'll probably go. I don't know, man. If I could find a Seiko World War II chronograph, that would be pretty damn sick. So in the 50s, this is when a lot of the iconic wristwatches that we know today, such as the Tissot Navigator, was launched. In 1953, it was Tissot's 100th birthday. Tissot's been around for a very, very long time. They launched the Visor Date during this time, the Tissot Cemetery, the T12, the PR516, the Saphir. A bunch of beautiful watches came out in the 50s by Tissot. I think once again I'll mention it again. The Visor Date was released in this time period, so some of these watches from this line continue to live on today. The 50s was a very, very important time for Tissot. So Edouard Loris Tissot, he kind of revamped the Tissot system. So he introduced the single caliber principle. The range of movements was simplified. So basically, I'm not exactly for sure. I'm pretty sure Tissot probably nowadays uses a lot of. I'm not even going to bring up Tissot. A lot of companies use, standard ETA movements, use Valjoux movements, and then some of them, modify the movements. I think Tudor. I think they've probably modified some. Of course, they've modified a bunch of different ETAs, but Tissot during this time period, I'm not for sure if it was. I'm pretty sure it was still an in-house movement, but they figured, why? We have all these different watches, let's just make one movement and then modify the different parts of that. And if you guys have any idea how assembly lines work, let me just pull an example for World War I. In World War I, and let's bring up World War II. In World War II, the Germans had all these different crazy systems of ammo and all these different weird variations and all these different factories that did all these weird little different things. When you have an industrial system that is so complicated, it's actually easier if something goes wrong, it backs up. Let's say you have 50 factories and you have 50 different types of bullets. Well, if each factory is making a different type of bullet, well, what happens when something goes wrong in one of those factories? Well, does all the ammo for that specific gun can't be made anymore. But if you look at something else like let's just take the 5.56 ammo, right? The 5.56 is pretty much the standard in America, at least for our military assault rifles. So all you gotta know is you just gotta make 5.56, you'll be good, and most guns, and it's kind of like maybe I'm explaining this badly, but it's standard, easy, and if something goes wrong, who cares? You have backup plans because you have multiple factories making the same product, and that's what Tissot learned. Tissot learned that when you have over the years, they just built up this really crazy system of all these different little weird movements, and they're just like, you know what? This doesn't really make sense. We've got to revamp it. So they came up with the single caliber principle. Yeah, very, 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 very interesting stuff. So then this is where we start to move in the 60s. 1968, Tissot wanted to sort of transition to younger people. And I think this, but this is something that I found very, very interesting. In the 60s, Tissot wanted to focus specifically on younger people. and I'll put some pictures up the different advertisings during this. But what they basically were trying to do was make it more unique, make it a bit more colorful, kind of introduce it for the style with the kids and all that stuff. Even though it's 1968, my freaking grandma was born in like, I think the early 60s, so I'm saying kids. But they were aiming it at young people. And they made them quartz, they made them out of fiberglass, they made them out of a bunch of different materials, and it makes me wonder, right? If today a company was doing that, not a fashion watch company, sort of a heritage company, I wonder how that would work out for them. You know, if they took the time and said, all right, we're gonna make watches that are between $200 and $500 for the price range of people aged 18 to 25, right? How would that look? You know, what would be the products that they would come out with? Would it be different than the stuff that they usually make? Would it be more colorful? What would the sizes look like? I don't know. And if I'm starting to get those ideas from my head, because maybe I'll be the person to release that wristwatch. After that, in 1971, they released I just found this one interesting. It was the Idea 21. Yeah, that's right. I think it was a quartz model, square-faced. I just got this. I didn't even know about this until I looked at Tissot's website. It's a very, very, very beautiful piece. Square. It kind of reminds you of, you know, the swatches where, you know, I think maybe this very, very, very similar to Swatch. So I wonder if Swatch got some ideas from it. Square, quartz, open face dial, kind of just futuristic looking. It was called the Idea 2001 for a reason. I think that's the right watch I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about something else. I think I'm going to end it there. Just because, you know, the 80s rolls around, and the 90s roll around, then the early 2000s, and here we are today. So Tissot nowadays has, in my humble opinion, has turned more into kind of I think they rely a lot more on sports advertising. For example, my little brother, when I watch NBA games with him, I can kind of see like, oh, that's a Tissot advertisement. They're talking about the T-Touch, blah, 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 blah. My little brother, actually, when he was talking to me about what kind of wristwatch he wanted to get before he got, you know, a Rolex or something else like that, he was saying, oh, well, I'm thinking about getting a Tissot. So they're aiming at the sports audience. I believe they do a bunch of different sponsorings and timekeepings for a bunch of different organizations. I know for a fact that they're the NBA, official timekeeper. I think hockey too. It's just a lot of different NHL, a lot of different sports organizations. Tissot does sponsor, or not sponsor, maybe as the official timekeeper of, yes. I know I really want to. If you guys have any information about the Tissot that's on the video right now, I would love to hear it, because I don't know why. I don't know what's so crazy about the Sea Star. I mean, I was looking at some of the pictures. I mean, the Sea Star, I think, was launched in the early 70s and in the mid 70s, or in the 70s in general. And this Sea Star does not look like any of the earlier Sea Stars. So I'm wondering, is it from the 80s? Is it from the 90s? When was the Sea Star discontinued? Because they don't have the Sea Star still today. I really want to find out some more info about the Sea Star. I haven't done that much deep diving specifically into the Sea Star, but this is starting to give me a better area and range to look at. So what do you guys think about Tissot? Do you guys respect Tissot? Do you guys not respect Tissot? Have you ever owned a Tissot? What kind of wristwatches from Tissot have you owned? What do you think about the brand? Did you know about any of this history stuff? I'd love to hear what you guys think about the company. I really, really, really would. And this is where I end the video, guys. Thank you very, very, very much for watching, and Akuma out.